I'm extremely grateful to be here talking today about one of my deep passions, which is, of course, dance. But deeper than that, it's the connection with dance and spirituality, self-compassion, and our connection with the wider community as well. So I guess in my last week, I was taking a break from work, thinking about what it would be that would be really important to actually speak to you today about. I happened to be walking through the university bookstore at the time, and I picked a book up off the shelf. It's by a really amazing young woman poet named Rupi Kaur. And I just turned the book randomly to the middle, and there was this poem sitting on the page, and I thought that was very appropriate to share to you today. I kind of felt like that was a little, well, come and read me out today. And what she writes is, "You are one person, but when you move, the entire community walks through you. You are never alone." And I thought that really embodied how I feel about dance and the wider connection that you have with all of those energies around you as well. But it also reminds me of something that one of my current dance teachers also says to us in class on a constant basis. And that is, when you step into that space, when you find yourself in that dance space, when you're engaging with yourself, who are you bringing with you? And this is a woman, Rosangela. I'll talk a little bit more about her later as well, but she is an incredible woman based in Salvador and Bahia in Brazil. And what she's referring to really is, dance and exploring the connection with our ancestors, our guides, our teachers, the community, and also the natural world and the elements as well. So Gloria's told you a little bit about my background. I was born into a musical family. My parents both played folk music in the local Irish and Scottish folk music group. So I was born right into the middle of this beautiful, kind of joyful expression of music and dance. And I think as soon as I could stand up, I could dance at the front of the stage. And that's followed me through life as well. It's obviously become apparent that that's part of my soul purpose in this incarnation as well. In about 2003, I was reintroduced into the world of dance again. My little brother at the time says, "Hey Hillary, let's go and try, I want to try out this belly dance class, I want to try out this flamenco class." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, sure, okay bro, let's go and have a try." And from there, it was, I guess, it's been a 17 or 18-year journey into the world of dance and finding this incredible community that exists around us. And there's many different styles of dance, many different backgrounds. But I suppose the styles that I've gravitated towards do have this really rich cultural background. They've got an incredible history, and they do have a special emphasis on the celebration of life and of community and of nature as well. Historically, dance has been present in ritualistic kind of religious ceremony as well. You think temple dances in all kinds of different varieties. That often, dance was something that elevated a person to be able to connect with a particular deity, to invoke. But thinking about, for example, the ancient Egyptian culture, dance for them within the community was actually a central part of life as well, because it was an expression of joy at the gift of life, that human experience that we're all living as well. So to be able to connect with that. So I wanted to talk a little bit first about African dance, which is something that's been a real passion of mine for the last few years. And I've come to it because it does have this really beautiful expression of different parts of life. So varieties of rhythms and dances throughout Africa will express the joyfulness of youth, or the finding of love, or fertility, of motherhood. So these are expressed through these beautiful rhythms. One in particular, one of my favorites that I absolutely love performing with one of the groups that I dance with, is called Moribiasa, and it's a dance from Guinea. And it's quite incredible. It's done in tradition of when a woman has overcome a really difficult obstacle in her life, she will dance with this, and I believe that they dance, they dress up in rags, they have crazy hair, and the group of women will dance this, and it's an incredible rhythm. It's very uplifting, it's very powerful. It's like, you've got that energy of, you've just come through this obstacle, this really challenging part of your life. And after they finish the dance, I believe that the tradition is that they take the clothes that they were wearing, they carry it to a tree, maybe just outside the village, and they actually bury it. So they've done with that part. They've cleansed, they've expressed that energy, and they're ready to move on and invite new energies into their life moving forward. Yeah, so it's really beautiful. I think another really interesting part of dance as well is the engagement with the natural world. And African dance, we have, there's a lot of different styles where they engage with elements of air and water and fire and earth. And I'm just thinking in particular dances that I've learned from Zimbabwe. And they actually base a lot of their dances around nature, but I think there's 12 archetypes that are based, that align with different elements of nature. So archetypes from mythology. One teacher that I've had the pleasure of actually learning with is actually originally American. He's been to New Zealand a few times now, actually. And the last time he ran a workshop, we were down at the Tapaturanga Marae, which was just down the hill before it was taken by flame, unfortunately, about a year ago or so. So Chris Berry is his name, and he's now based in Hawaii. But at the age of 15, he was taken in by a master drummer. And so he trained under this master drummer, learning dances from Zimbabwe. He traveled to Zimbabwe, and he was inducted into the Shona tribe. So Shona is a culture within Zimbabwe. And there they taught him all aspects of life. They took him through their mythology. They took him through the different styles of music and dance. They even taught him the language. And it became clear he was given the message that it was his journey in life to be able to share this knowledge that he'd been given, to actually take it into the world and keep it alive. And so what he does now is he runs these ceremonies that he calls Bana Kuma. And in Shona language, Bana means sacred, and Kuma means altering. So it's a sacred altering. So you think about the principle of manifestation. So he uses these archetypes and these natural elements to facilitate a process of manifestation, of cleansing through the use of drumming and dancing. And it's quite incredible. The one that I was able to attend was, we went from a fire rhythm into a water rhythm, and it was absolutely incredible. I'll read you a little bit about what he says about each of the different rhythms that he goes through. So Kasha is the fire rhythm, so that's the archetype associated with the fire element. This powerful ceremony intends to activate the transformative abilities of our own central fire, our heart. It involves the ignition of a physical fire through a process of offerings and prayer and a high energy expression of spirit, and release through fast drumming and dancing. And it is just that. It's really interesting. The drum rhythm repeats and it repeats and it repeats, and you forget which way is up, you forget which way is down, and you almost become disoriented. You build up this heat, this fire, this intensity. You set intentions at the beginning of this process that you want to clear, that you want to take out of your life, that you're making space for something new to come in. Now, there's no actually set time frame for how long you actually go through this process. You might be dancing for as long as the drummers feel it's necessary to keep this process going. And the lead drummer has to actually tap into that energy and know when it's time to actually change that rhythm. So they're tuned in. And then when they change the rhythm, it comes into this beautiful water rhythm. And all of a sudden you get this cleansing energy. It's time to actually wash that away, to free yourself and to actually move into the next phase of creating, inviting new energy in. And the next section is the Shaniwa. Shaniwa is an archetype associated with the water element. And what he says is, this ceremony involves working with the ferocity and the tenderness of water to cleanse the mind and body of harmful attachments and to reactivate stagnant energy. So it was a really beautiful process to be involved in, and I think it's, sometimes for me, I feel like dance is like an active meditation. You're engaging with the physical body to bring about manifestations, to change that energy. And it's beautiful. Now what I wanted to do is just talk to you a little bit briefly about Brazil and Brazilian dance, which has been probably my main focus over the last few years, and something that I've just fallen in love with. The important thing to talk about first when talking about Brazilian culture and Brazilian dance is to talk about the religious context as well, because they're quite closely linked. We take symbologies from the religious practice of candomblé, and we put them into an artistic expression. So the two are not linked at all. The religion and the dance, the art form, remain very separate. Because, of course, in candomblé, we're using these archetypes again, these deities. They are what they call Orishas. Orishas, I think what I've been told, it roughly translates to sparks of God, so something like that. And there are, I think, 12 main Orishas, and upwards of 20. So they've got their own complex mythology, they've got their own complex stories, and this beautiful web of history and mythology. And I'll just give you an example of a few. So we have Oshosi. Oshosi is an energy, he's a male Orisha associated with the forest. So you think about hunting and gathering, about abundance, about provision, about bringing in that energy. And a lot of his movements you see are kind of, like creeping through the forest and pulling out the bow and arrow. So we take, again, those movements and we put them into the dance context. Another one would be one that I closely align with as well, Iemanjá. Iemanjá is the ocean energy. She's a female Orisha who's the mother. She's the mother energy. And I think sometimes they align them with Catholic patron saints as well, and I think she aligns with the Mother Mary quite often. But you think about the ocean energy, that again, it's the providing energy, the amount of life that the ocean sustains on Earth. Yansa. Yansa is again another female Orisha, and she's associated with the wind energy, which I'm sure a lot of Wellingtonians can relate to. But the beauty about wind is that it takes that old energy out of the air. You're removing it, you're getting rid of it, and you're allowing that space for those new energies to come in. So again, her movements involve a lot of this kind of wind movement symbologies. One more that I'll mention is Oshun. Oshun is another female Orisha, and she's associated with sweet waters and lakes. And she is an energy that represents femininity and fertility and beauty. So you see a lot of her movements are again sort of replicating that. But in the dance setting, we have the respect that we pay to the religious practice and the origins of the dance, again, which do come from African roots. So when the slaves were brought over from Africa, they brought with them their traditions and their culture and their beliefs, and they mixed with the indigenous cultures in Brazil, and that's where this practice developed. But in the dance, we're very careful. We pay respect, but we don't want to invoke energies that we're not ready for. It's very powerful energies. So I just wanted to finish by talking a little bit about one of my current teachers who I mentioned at the beginning, Rosangela Sylvester. So she's developed her own technique using this history, using these symbologies from the Afro-Brazilian background. She's 61 now, and she's just an incredible fountain of knowledge. But she also comes from a contemporary dance background, so she also has a very strong awareness of the physical body as well. So what she does is she merges the tradition with the contemporary, this body awareness and conditioning. So it's really interesting what she's done. She has created a method that merges the connection with the higher consciousness and the elements in nature. So we are still acknowledging that connection with Earth. Yeah, but we're also kind of engaging with the physical body, becoming aware of self. And I think as soon as we start engaging with our physical selves and understanding and really just listening to our bodies, then we start to engage on a higher level as well. What I find really beautiful is that her technique also focuses on geometry within the body. So you think, you've got sacred geometry within the body. And what she does is she says, we've got this connection with the earth. So our earth, this is our triangle of balance. So she divides the body into 3 triangles. So the triangle of balance sits here. It's our connection with the universe, with the earth and the elements. And then we have the triangle of inspiration. So from the top of the head here. So this is our connection with the universe. And we also have the triangle of expression, which sits in self. In here is how you express these things that you're taking in. She calls them nutrition. So everything, you create your space, and then you bring nutrition into your space. Any experiences that you've had, again, your lineage, your ancestors, those people that are walking with you, your teachers, the things that the emotions that you've had from experience that you want to express. You can use the dance to express these as an outlet. So this technique allows this as well. So there's many different aspects to this method. It's a very complex and very involved process. So I'll try and give you some of the really important ones to me. She also talks about verticality. Thinking about opening up the channels. So your verticality, you're aligned. Your feet are connected with the earth, and your head, connected with the universe. And of course, there's correspondence between that connection with the earth and the connection with the universe. So you're opening up your channels. You're allowing that kundalini to rise as well. But we're also acknowledging that the elements of earth sit within the body. And so she uses different symbols to be able to express this. For example, we've got the earth element here, moving into a water element, which would be about here. Then going into air, so you're turning your hands into the lungs this way. Coming into a fire energy, which is crossing the hands over, you come up to the top here. And then we also have this element of duality. And then the final thing that she says is, and allow it. Allow yourself to express. Yeah, so this is just giving you a kind of a brief taster. I'm just keeping an eye on the time as well. But I think the most beautiful thing as well is that within this style and within many different, dance groups, we have this incredible community. So this is an opportunity that we've had to meet every week on Zoom, one of the positive outcomes of COVID, unfortunately, although it's affected us in so many ways. We have different methods of connecting, and in some ways we've been able to connect wider with people that we might not have had contact with before through digital means. So every week we come onto Zoom and we've got this beautiful community of people, and we support each other. So you think that idea of that deeper connection, that connection with the community. And in this process of self-discovery, being very aware of the body, being free to express how you're feeling and to connect, and there's no wrong way of expressing. There's been a lot of healing that goes on and a lot of support as well. You think, we are all one. So everyone has a chance to sit back and actually listen and look at what the other people are doing. We also have a process of maybe creating joint choreographies where one person contributes a small move, and the next person, and then the next person. And then we perform an improvised choreography all together when we've all contributed. So it's a beautiful thing to be part of. So there's been a lot of healing that's happened, a lot of sharing, and I find that with other dance groups that I've been involved with as well. It's just an incredible place to come and ground, engage with self. And it goes beyond just engaging with, just being in that dance space as well. It could be walking down the street. And I said to my teacher, I'm starting to have conversations with my body. It's starting to understand how it works and how it feels. And when you start to have that appreciation and that deep love for self and what you're actually doing, how you're moving, how you're engaging, you start to have this really beautiful sense of self-love, which then extends beyond. Yeah, so I will leave it there. I hope that this has been an interesting process. I just really was grateful to be able to share some of my processes and my experiences. And just, this is one way of expressing energy and shifting things. So thank you very much.